Since the dawn of time, we have lived beneath eclipses. We have watched the day grow dark. We have feared, wondered, measured, and remembered. Here are some of our stories. Long after the great city of Teotihuacan had fallen silent, the Nahua remembered it as the place where the sun was born. But the sun was never entirely safe. When darkness began to cross its face, the Tsitsimime came from the heavens. Star beings descended upon the sun, attacking its light as the day grew dark. Below, people watched and waited, for an eclipse opened a dangerous moment in the order of the world. If the sun were overcome, the Tsitsimime might descend upon the earth itself. The darkness deepened. The star beings surrounded the sun, and then, little by little, the shadow passed. The sun emerged again. The light born at Teotihuacan had survived. On September 18th, in the year 396, the people of Monte Alban watched the sky. For generations, the keepers of the calendar had followed the paths of the heavens. They knew the journeys of the sun and moon, and they watched for the patterns that returned across the years. Then the moon began to cross the sun. Slowly, the radiant face of Copaicha was covered. The daylight faded. The plazas and temples fell beneath an unfamiliar light. Above the city, the sun narrowed into a ring of fire. Copaicha had not vanished. His light was hidden, but his path remained. And so the people watched. They measured the pass in darkness. They remembered where the sun had stood, how the moon had moved, and how long the strange light endured. Then the moon continued on its way. The ring broke. Light spilled again across the mountains and the great city. Copaicha's face returned, and what had happened in the heavens became part of the knowledge carried forward on earth. On August 10th, in the year 975, the sun disappeared over Kyoto. Amaterasu, she who shines in heaven, had closed herself inside the heavenly rock cave, and darkness covered the world. Then the countless kami gathered before the stone door. Ame no Uzume danced, the gods laughed, and before the cave they placed the shining mirror. Amaterasu heard their joy and wondered at it. She looked out. There, in the mirror, was a radiance as great as her own. She came forth from the cave, and once more, light spread over the world. On May 1st, 1185, a wolf ate the sun. Prince Igor rode east with his army, and above them the day began to fail. The bright face of the sun was bitten away. Darkness spread across the sky. The men looked upward in fear. Stars appeared in the daytime, and red fire burned around the wounded sun. A wolf had seized the light. The army begged Igor to turn back, They had seen the warning in the heavens. But Igor rode on. Then, little by little, the wolf released its grip. The sun returned. The light spread once more across the earth. But the warning did not leave them. It rode east with the prince and his men. On July 29th, 1878, the shadow of the moon crossed the American West. Maria Mitchell went to meet it. She traveled nearly 2,000 miles with a company of women astronomers, carrying telescopes, chronometers, notebooks, and years of careful study into the open country near Denver. There they built an observatory beneath the sky. They measured. They waited. They watched the light begin to fail. Then the sun disappeared. The corona burst into view, and for 2 minutes and 40 seconds, the women worked in silence beneath a darkened sky. And then someone cried, "The shadow! The shadow!" Across the great plain, they watched the darkness race away from them. The sun returned, and the women bent over their notebooks, writing down what they had seen. On July 31st, 1962, the sun and moon met over Kutamaku. At first, the sun still shone brightly over the homes and fields of the Batamariba. Then the moon began to cross its face, and the light changed. The sky darkened. The sun and moon were in conflict, and below them, people looked to one another. Old anger could not remain. Quarrels were brought into the open. Families and neighbors who had turned away from one another came together again. For if the sun and moon were to make peace, people on earth must make peace as well. Above the earthen towers, the sun became a ring of fire, and as reconciliation spread below, the moon moved on. The light returned. On December 14th, 2020, the sun died over La Araucanía in Wallmapu. The people knew the darkness was coming. Then the moon began to cover the sun. The light thinned. The hills grew strange and dim. The warmth left the air. Lan Antu. The sun was dying. For a little more than 2 minutes, darkness settled over the land, and the black moon stood inside a crown of white fire. Below, the people watched and waited. Then a point of light broke through. The darkness loosened its hold. The hills returned. Warmth touched the earth again. Antu was reborn. And beneath the returning sun, the old knowledge remained alive. One day, there will be no more darkening of days. More than 600 million years from now, the moon will have wandered farther from the earth. For ages beyond counting, the tides will have carried it outward, a little farther with every passing year. The earth will be different then. Humans will be long gone. New forests may cover the land. New creatures may walk beneath the sun. And still, the moon will cross the sky. On one final day, it will pass directly before the sun, almost large enough to hide it, but not quite. Around the black moon, a thread of sunlight will remain. The animals below will watch the strange light. Rings and crescents will scatter beneath the leaves. Shadows will change across a world with no memory of us. Then the moon will move on, and never again, for as long as the earth endures, will the moon completely cover the sun. There will still be eclipses. There will still be shadows. But the day will never become night again.